Commissioner Gordon, Bane has escaped.
Reality is the one battlefield you cannot avoid. You can run from your problems, deny your weaknesses, distract yourself with noise, and numb yourself with comfort. But eventually reality will stand in front of you demanding attention. To get a grip on reality means to stop living in the haze of excuses and illusions that most people prefer. They tell themselves they are fine when they are drowning. They pretend time is abundant when every second slips away. They dress their fear in language that sounds rational, but reality does not care for justification. It does not bend to excuses. It only responds to truth. When you finally grip reality with both hands, the games end. You see yourself clearly, and though the sight may hurt, it is the first moment of power. A false self cannot grow. Only the self that faces reality without flinching can transform. The grip begins with numbers, not feelings. How much money is in your account? How much time is wasted each day? How many hours you actually dedicate to what you claim matters? Reality hides in measurable details, not in emotional stories. Most people resist looking because they fear the evidence will expose them. But hiding from evidence only extends the suffering. Once you look, you gain clarity. The clarity burns, but it also gives direction. When you grip reality, you stop confusing dreams with plans. You stop imagining progress that does not exist. You see where you are, and from there, you finally know where to go. Denial is a fog. Reality is the light that cuts through it. To grip reality is to silence the chorus of borrowed voices. Society fills your head with what success should look like, what pace you should move at, what path you should walk. If you accept these without question, you may achieve them and still feel hollow. Reality is not what they tell you it is. Reality is what you see when the noise fades and the mask drops. It is the life you actually live when no one is watching. Until you confront that life honestly, you are building castles on sand. You must strip away the borrowed narratives and measure reality on your own terms. Otherwise, you will live as an actor in a play written by others, mistaking applause for fulfillment. Getting a grip on reality requires brutal self-audit. You must ask yourself who you are when the lights are off. Are you disciplined when no one is watching? Are you consistent when there is no applause? Are you progressing or simply moving in circles that feel like progress because they are busy? This kind of questioning feels harsh, but it is the only way forward. Without it, you live in delusion. With it, you create the foundation for growth. Reality is not gentle, but it is fair. It will not lie to you. It will show you exactly what you are producing. The courage to accept that reflection is what separates those who change from those who stay trapped. The hardest grip to take is on time. People live as though they have endless years, but decades slip through unnoticed. The illusion of time abundance is the greatest thief of potential. Getting a grip on reality means acknowledging how fast the clock runs. It means realizing that procrastination is not delay, it is erasure. Every day ignored is a day you will never recover. This is not meant to scare you. It is meant to awaken you. You must grip time as if it were gold pouring through your hands. Waste none of it. Shape all of it. Only then can you live without regret. Reality also reveals who belongs beside you and who does not. Many keep people around because of history, obligation, or comfort, even when those people drain them. But the truth is that your environment reflects your standards. If you are surrounded by people who tolerate mediocrity, you will absorb it. If you are surrounded by people who demand more of themselves, you will rise. Gripping reality means cutting ties with those who refuse to grow, no matter how familiar they feel. This decision will cost you comfort, but it will reward you with alignment. and alignment is priceless. To grip reality is to let go of fantasies about the perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. There is no time when the risk will disappear, when the fear will vanish, when the path will be cleared. Waiting for ideal conditions is the excuse of the lost. Reality says you must move while it is hard, while it is uncertain, while you are unsure. That is the cost of progress. Every great story begins in imperfection. Every empire began in struggle. Grip reality by refusing to wait for what will never arrive. The greatest resistance comes from ego. Ego wants to protect you from the sting of reality. It convinces you that you are better than your results, that you are owed more than you have earned, that you are further ahead than you actually are. This is a dangerous comfort. It inflates illusions until you believe them, and when reality shatters them, the fall is brutal. The only way to break free is to humble yourself before reality willingly. Let it strip you. Let it show you. Let it break the illusions before they break you. Ego resists, courage accepts. Once you grip reality, you stop fearing it. You begin to see it as your greatest ally. Reality will never flatter you, but it will never betray you either. It will show you exactly what stands in your way and exactly what you must do. That clarity is liberation. It frees you from comparison because you no longer measure against illusions. You measure against your own evidence. It frees you from excuses because you know what is truly possible. Reality becomes the only ground firm enough to build on. Everything else is smoke. Schools do not just teach subjects, they teach pace. They train you to crawl when you were built to sprint. They create the illusion that knowledge must be memorized line by line, repeated endlessly, then regurgitated onto an exam that evaporates from memory the second it ends. 12 hours of forced study for answers you will never need again. This is not education, this is sedation. It wires you to confuse repetition with mastery, hours spent with value gained, effort with outcome. The result is a generation that thinks learning is painful, slow, and mostly useless. The real world does not operate at that speed. It rewards speed of adaptation, speed of application, and speed of execution. But after years of conditioning, most people cannot move quickly because they have been shackled to a broken model that taught them to waste their time. The tragedy is not just wasted hours, it is wasted potential. When you believe learning must be slow, you limit what you chase. You tell yourself one goal at a time, one achievement per season, because that is all you think you can handle. But the truth is different. If you learn how to learn, if you master the art of compressing knowledge and applying it immediately, you can do in 1 year what others take 10 to attempt. The bottleneck is not intelligence, it is method. Yet schools never show you this because they were not designed to create thinkers. They were designed to create obedient workers who accept delay as normal. Learning how to learn means rejecting the model of memorization and embracing the model of application. It means treating information as raw material, not as a burden. Most people collect knowledge like hoarders, stacking it without ever using it. But true learning is transformation, not storage. When you practice immediately, when you link new knowledge to old frameworks, when you test it in the real world, you compress the timeline dramatically. 1 hour of applied learning outweighs 12 hours of cramming. One project outweighs dozens of textbooks. The speed of mastery is unlocked not by studying harder, but by learning differently. Schools kill this instinct early. Children learn quickly by nature. They experiment, test, and fail until they adapt. But the system interrupts, demanding stillness, demanding memorization, demanding conformity. Curiosity is punished, creativity is stifled, and questions are replaced by standardized answers. Over time, the natural hunger to learn is dulled. Students no longer associate learning with discovery. They associate it with stress. By the time they leave, they are convinced learning is slow and painful. This belief becomes their prison long after school ends. It is how they lose grip on reality, confusing the artificial rules of the classroom with the demands of life. In reality, speed is survival. The world shifts daily. Technology evolves. Markets change, skills become obsolete. Those who cling to the slow model are buried by those who adapt. Learning how to learn is the ultimate advantage because it turns change into fuel instead of fear. While others panic at disruption, the fast learner absorbs, adapts, and applies. They achieve 10 goals in the time it takes others to crawl toward one. Not because they are superhuman, but because they never accepted the conditioning of slowness as natural. They chose to rewrite the rules. The illusion of slow learning also creates dependency. People wait for teachers, wait for instructions, wait for permission. They never trust themselves to learn on their own, so they outsource growth to authority. This is by design. Systems prefer passive learners. They prefer people who accept the pace handed to them. But reality does not hand you step-by-step instructions. It hands you chaos. Those who thrive are not those who memorize the most, but those who can extract knowledge quickly from chaos and apply it immediately. To learn at speed is to reclaim independence. Losing grip on reality happens the moment you confuse school's rules with life's rules. In life, no one cares about your exam scores. No one rewards you for hours studied. They only care about results. They care about what you can build, solve, and deliver. If you cling to the slow pace, you will be outpaced. You will believe you are working hard, but reality will show you falling behind. That is the silent punishment of conditioning. It makes you think you are progressing when you are standing still. The mind must be reprogrammed to reject the association between time spent and value created. Real value comes from acceleration. It comes from cutting away the unnecessary and diving directly into the core. If you want to master a skill, build something with it. If you want to understand a concept, explain it to someone else. If you want to move fast, stop waiting for the approval of an authority figure and begin. You will make mistakes, but mistakes are faster teachers than textbooks. Schools punish mistakes. Reality rewards those who learn from them. That is how speed is gained. When you embrace speed of learning, you begin to see that goals are not distant peaks but stepping stones. You can pursue many at once because each reinforces the other. Progress accelerates in ways the slow model never imagined. People will call it unnatural, will accuse you of skipping steps, because they still believe the lie that learning must drag. Ignore them. You are not cheating. You are correcting the pace of growth back to its natural rhythm. You are refusing to be dulled by conditioning. You are gripping reality again, not the illusion handed down in classrooms. Numbness has become the default state of modern existence. People do not feel fully alive because they are drowning in a fog of stimulation that tricks the mind into thinking it is awake. Quick dopamine rushes from screens, scrolling shallow entertainment, and meaningless conversations create the illusion of life without ever delivering its substance. Instead of facing silence, people choose distraction. Instead of embracing challenge, they choose comfort. Over time, this repeated escape from presence severs the link between mind and reality. They are not here. They are not alive. They are somewhere else entirely, floating in a haze of consumption that promises relief but delivers emptiness. A numb life feels painless in the moment, but in truth, it is the slowest death imaginable. Living numb removes the anchor to the present. The present moment is the only place power exists. The past cannot be changed. The future is not guaranteed, but right now is where action lives. Yet the majority cannot stay here because numbness pulls them away. Their bodies sit in the room, but their minds drift to screens, cravings, comparisons, and fantasies. They are absent in their own lives. That absence compounds into regret. Days vanish, months collapse, and decades blur, all because they could not sit fully in the now. The diluted concept of reality is the cost of refusing presence. Without presence, you cannot create. Without presence, you cannot connect. Without presence, you cannot live. Dopamine addiction is the new chain. It does not arrive with pain. It arrives with ease. Every quick hit rewires the brain to crave more and tolerate less. What once brought joy now feels bland and less magnified by stimulation. This cycle erases depth. People cannot sit still. They cannot endure silence. They cannot think deeply because the brain has been trained to demand constant novelty. This state of perpetual craving disguises itself as freedom of choice, but it is slavery of the highest form. The mind is not driving, the chemical is. True freedom comes not from indulging every craving, but from reclaiming the ability to direct attention without interference. Consumption without consciousness is the enemy of growth. People buy, watch, eat, and repeat without thought. They fill themselves endlessly yet feel emptier than ever. This paradox exists because what they consume does not nourish. It distracts. It entertains. But it does not feed the mind or soul. Useful consumption exists when it educates, elevates, or energizes. Useless consumption numbs. The majority fall into the latter. They tell themselves they deserve it, that it relaxes them, that it helps them cope. But coping through numbness is not healing. It is avoidance. And avoidance only expands the gap between who they are and who they could be. Passiveness is the natural consequence of numb living. When you are disconnected from presence and controlled by quick dopamine, you no longer initiate. You wait. You respond. You follow. Life becomes something that happens to you rather than something you build. The majority spend their lives reacting instead of creating, consuming instead of contributing, scrolling instead of acting. Passiveness feels safe, but safety without progress is decay. Numbness removes urgency. It convinces you that tomorrow will always come, that your dreams can wait. But time does not wait. And once you realize what you lost, numbness cannot return the years it stole. Numbness spreads because it is easier than awakening. Awakening demands pain. To reconnect with the present, you must first endure the discomfort you have been avoiding. You must sit in silence long enough to face your own thoughts. You must feel the boredom you once fled from. You must wrestle with the rawness of reality without sedation. This confrontation terrifies people because it strips away the shield they built. Yet within that discomfort lies freedom. When you stop running, the numbness fades, and beneath it, you find clarity sharper than anything you have known. Those who remain numb are easily controlled. They consume whatever is fed to them, believe whatever is repeated to them, and surrender their autonomy without realizing it. A numb mind does not question. A numb spirit does not resist. That is why numbness is encouraged by systems that thrive on passivity. It creates obedient workers, loyal consumers, and silent citizens. To break free, you must refuse to live dulled. You must reclaim your ability to feel deeply, think critically, and act deliberately. The present moment becomes your weapon, because presence cannot be manipulated. The path out of numbness is not dramatic. It begins with small acts of presence. Turning off the endless noise, walking without headphones, writing instead of scrolling, sitting with discomfort instead of fleeing it. These acts feel insignificant, but they are reclamations. Each one strengthens the connection to reality. Each one trains the mind to remain in the now. Over time, these moments compound into a state of clarity where numbness cannot return. It is not about rejecting pleasure. It is about choosing depth over distraction. It is about feeding the soul instead of numbing it. Once you escape numbness, the world looks different. Colors sharpen, conversations carry weight. Time stretches instead of collapsing. You realize life was never dull. You were dull. You were dulled by consumption that drained presence. Reclaiming reality fills ordinary moments with significance. A conversation, a sunrise, a piece of work done with full attention becomes more powerful than any dopamine rush. Depth replaces intensity. Fulfillment replaces escape. And for the first time, you feel alive instead of entertained. People wait for passion as if it were lightning. They believe one day they will wake up struck by a revelation, a voice whispering the exact path they were meant to follow. This illusion paralyzes them. They spend years waiting instead of building. Passion does not descend from the heavens. It is grown from the soil of discipline. It emerges when you choose a direction and walk it long enough to break through the surface layer of discomfort and boredom. At first it feels mechanical, but over time, as your effort compounds, you uncover depth. That depth reveals possibilities hidden to the casual observer. It is in that discovery that passion begins to burn. It is not gifted, it is generated. Cultivation is the missing truth. Passion is not found, it is forged. You cultivate it the way a craftsman shapes raw material, by showing up daily, striking the surface, and revealing the structure underneath. Enthusiasm fuels the first steps, but endurance is what transforms them into mastery. The majority give up before this happens. They mistake early discomfort for lack of passion, not realizing passion lives on the other side of persistence. It is born when skill catches up to effort, when progress accelerates, when you begin to feel the rhythm of the craft. This is why passion cannot be demanded from the start. It must be earned through cultivation. The idea of finding passion absolves responsibility. It convinces you that you simply have not discovered the right thing yet, that once you stumble upon it, everything will click. But this is self-deception. Every great creator, athlete, or builder began with struggle. None of them felt eternal fire at the start. They built it. They forced themselves through repetition until passion revealed itself. Waiting for passion keeps you passive. Cultivating it keeps you alive. The difference between the dreamer and the doer is not talent. It is the willingness to keep moving without the fire, trusting that the fire will appear if you keep walking. Sometimes you generate passion in pursuits you never planned to love. The task may feel small, unglamorous, even unwanted at first, but you saw it as necessary. You shut your mind off, silenced the resistance, and did it anyway. Over time, you found layers you did not expect. You discovered depth where once there was only duty. That is how passion sneaks up on you. It hides inside the goals you once thought were temporary stepping stones. What began as survival becomes love. What began as necessity becomes obsession. You never would have seen it had you waited for inspiration to choose it for you. This is the paradox of passion. It rarely begins where you expect. You do not choose it, you uncover it. You uncover it by showing up when you least feel like it. You uncover it by embracing the process instead of demanding immediate joy. You uncover it by mastering boredom, by treating repetition as sacred, by refusing to stop before the hidden beauty of the craft reveals itself. Those who quit early never find this beauty. They assume they were in the wrong place. The truth is that they simply never stayed long enough to see what passion looks like after cultivation. Passion grows as skill grows. The more you understand a craft, the more intricate and fascinating it becomes. At first, all you see is surface work. But as you persist, details reveal themselves. You notice subtleties. You begin to innovate. You begin to merge personal expression with technique. Suddenly, the work is no longer just work. It is identity. It is expression. This transformation cannot be faked. It cannot be rushed. It demands time. But with time, the craft that once felt foreign becomes the language through which you speak to the world. Passion lives in this union of skill and identity. Enthusiasm is the spark, but it is not the flame. You must take that spark and feed it through deliberate action. At first, enthusiasm feels shallow. It gets you to start, but it will not carry you far. What carries you is the decision to keep moving when enthusiasm fades. Passion is what comes later, when effort collides with progress and creates momentum. This is why so many never feel passion. They never move long enough past the fading spark to reach the flame. They believe passion should arrive first, when in truth it is the final reward for those who endure. The greatest lives are not built by those who found passion. They are built by those who built it. They understood that waiting for inspiration was a trap. They accepted that the beginning would feel empty, that the grind would feel mechanical, that resistance would fight them daily. But they persisted anyway. In that persistence, they uncovered joy deeper than fleeting excitement. They uncovered passion that could withstand time.